welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Strackbine, joined every Monday and Wednesday by my main man, Stephen Thompson. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talk or anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers are headed to Miami for Sunday Night Football, looking to make it back-to-back wins for the first time this season, get back on a moving train, a winning train, as Mike Tomlin would refer to it as. Plenty of storylines from the quarterback situation to a locker room fight, possible trades ahead for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Brian Flores' return to Miami for the first time since being fired. Jam-packed week here in Pittsburgh. It snowed last night. Don't even want to look out my window because it snowed last night. I hate this time of year so much. It's the season where it goes from snowfall to 30 degrees to 80 degrees and then back to snowfall, just because Pennsylvania is like, got you there a little bit, but you got to deal with it. It's part of living in PA. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. Yeah. We kind of skipped over fall and went straight to winter. It was nice when we would have just a couple days of 60 or 50 or whatever, but nope, we got to go straight to 40.
Straight to 40. It's supposed to be 85 this weekend. I was looking at, like, that doesn't even make sense. Weather should not be able to change that drastically, but that's Pittsburgh for you. That's Pittsburgh. It gets worse too. Like, when I lived downtown, I discovered that on super warm days, you didn't have to worry about anything. As soon as it got to like 30 degrees, the wind could literally kill you. It's unbelievable. So that's what you get. You know, you move out of Jessup, Pennsylvania, and bad things happen. That's what they say. Bad things happen. All right, let's jump into the Pittsburgh Steelers. Dolphins week, plenty of headlines, more headlines than I expected, to be honest with you. The big one, obviously, is Kenny Pickett. Mike Tomlin said that as long as he is cleared, he will play for the Steelers. He's expected to practice fully throughout the week. That was a little bit of a shock to me. You know, I didn't expect him to practice fully throughout the week, but now that I do know that he will be a full participant, that he will, he's kind of already towards the end of protocol. Does it come as a surprise? Is it the right move for the Steelers?
It does come as a little bit of a surprise. I think everyone kind of comes back from concussions much earlier than I always expect them to. But if Kenny's good to go, he's good to go. I think that, I don't know if it changes how I look at this game, but got to give you more confidence to have your real starting quarterback in there than to roll with Mitch, I guess. You do wonder about the prep, I guess, just only practicing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, then doing a walkthrough Saturday. I guess how much is one day worth, but yeah, still this is much earlier, I feel like, than I thought Kenny would be back. I don't know about you.
No, yeah, I didn't expect him to be a full go on Wednesday, but the fact that he's back to that part in the protocol makes me believe that things are going to be fine. I'm a little weary to see how much Mitch actually practices with the ones, because Tomlin did say he will take some first team reps just in case, and anything could happen. I mean, the concussion protocol is pretty plain and simple. If there are any signs of a concussion throughout the week, you are not going to clear protocol by Sunday. It's just not going to happen. So if he wakes up with a headache, if he's got, upper back pain, neck pain at all, if he's got blurry vision, hard of hearing, anything, light sensitivity, anything that says he's not fully ready to go, then it's over. And it's UPMC, so they're going to take it seriously. It's not like they have the Miami Dolphins doctor saying, hey, he's probably fine. It's no big deal. They're going to stick to the protocol, handle it correctly. I expect the Steelers to do that either way, but I also expect Kenny to kind of look at this week and say, yeah, there's zero chance I'm going to miss this game on Sunday.
Yeah,
not happening. And I don't know if I like that approach of a player, but knowing who Kenny is, that's exactly what I expect from him.
Yeah. And given everything that happened with Tua and, Naeem Hines, all of the kind of nasty head injuries that you've seen going around the NFL this year, they are definitely going to take it. I don't know. I don't know if they'll take it more seriously, but they will be definitely more thoughtful about, okay, is he actually ready to go? They will listen less, I think, to kind of the word of the player and kind of,
Oh yeah,
kind of
100%. So
stick more rigidly to the protocols and things like that.
100%. Mitch Trubisky, on the other hand, his second half performance was good, wasn't strong enough to earn a starting job. I think that's fine. I think you should have stuck with Kenny if he was available. I think you agree with me on that one. Um, but Mitch has also made headlines this week from something that's happened 3 weeks ago, which in my opinion is a bit far. Like, we're pretty far past this, but I came on this podcast after the Jets game and said, there's no way that you just pulled Mitch Trubisky down 10-6 at halftime because you were looking for a spark. That just doesn't happen. Not for a rookie quarterback who hasn't taken a first team rep in practice and who hasn't played a regular season game and said, go win us a game at halftime. That's just not what Mike Tomlin does, the Pittsburgh Steelers do, or most NFL teams do. Now it's come out that, according to Jerry Dulac of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, that Deontay Johnson and Mitch Trubisky were in a bit of a fight at halftime. Deontay got in Mitch's face, yelling to throw him the football, which is super bizarre because he did throw him the football. Deontay dropped
Right.
it, led to an interception. That one's 100% on Deontay Johnson. And then Mike Tomlin comes out and replies to the situation and doesn't say no, but he doesn't say yes, but he certainly doesn't say no. This is what he has to say. The things that happen among competitors from time to time is a normal business. Everyone wants to win. If it transpired, good. If that probably means there are a couple of guys that want to win. If it didn't transpire, it probably means that it should have, because we are aggressively pursuing victory. Sometimes that's emotional. So in other words, he said it did happen, and if it didn't happen, Deontay definitely should have did it anyways because Mitch stinks. That's what I took away from that. I mean, either way, not a great situation for Pittsburgh.
Right. It was just a weird quote because it conveyed some kind of displeasure that Mike Tomlin had with Mitch's play, but it's like, Mike Tomlin, you're in control of your own personnel. Like, what, you needed you needed one of your own players to go yell at one of your own players because he wasn't playing well enough. That's the part that's weird to me, is the fact that Tomlin would kind of accept. First of all, I don't think you need to yell at. I don't think you need to like fight with your teammates in the locker room to show that you want to win. I think that was that's just a weird cliche about, like, when someone gets angry, that's automatically good because they want to win. I think everyone wants to win, whether they fight with their teammates or not. But then just like it was a weird kind of deflection of responsibility a little bit, saying that, no, I was happy Deontay did this because someone had to do it. It's like, why don't you do it? Like, if
Exactly.
Mitch wasn't playing well enough, why don't you yell at him? Why don't you bench him? Why don't, like, it was a little weird.
It was definitely weird. I didn't look at it like that, but that's a really good point to say, like, why, if Tomlin's cool with this and he was like, hey, yeah, like that should have been a thing. Why did it get to that point? As a head coach, did you allow it to get to, I need a player to yell at another player because we stink this bad, instead of handling the situation? You're right.
Right.
That doesn't make
Right.
any sense.
This all like kind of falls into his lap, and it was just, yeah, it's, I don't know. It was, and I don't know why you would try to embrace like discord in your locker room, like people getting pissed off at each other
Yeah.
like that. I understand it might have been kind of a spin, but like, that's, I don't know. It seemed like kind of like a weird kind of football cliche, I guess, that got like that he loves, passion and aggression or whatever. It seemed kind of stupid, and like I don't know. It just seemed kind of stupid to kind of praise this and say this was a good thing.
Yeah, it
I don't
wasn't a
know.
good thing. You think about the best players in Pittsburgh. Najee Harris, and I know that's a bad way to start here, but
Mhm.
Najee Harris isn't fighting anybody. It's just not
No.
going to happen. Cam Hayward, yeah, he fights people in practice pretty often, but he's never going to yell at anybody ever. He always has control of his emotions in the locker room. Minka Fitzpatrick, one of the most passionate guys I've ever seen on a football field. He's not fighting anybody if it's not Chase Claypool during a practice. And TJ Watt, who TJ Watt, again, it's all on the football field. If it's on the football field, that's a totally different thing. Emotions are flying, people are getting hit. You are a testosterone driven league, and sometimes things get chippy. But if it's in the locker room and you're yelling that you should throw me the football, that's just pent up aggression or anger that you've had towards that guy for some time, and you've let that out. And Mike Tomlin you're 100% correct. Mike Tomlin should handle that situation way better. He shouldn't allow it to get to that point whatsoever. And here we are. My question, do you think it was enough? Because like I said, it felt weird. Like you didn't throw a rookie out at halftime when you're only down 4 points because you needed a spark. That just doesn't happen. Especially not for Mike Tomlin, who's the most cautious coach in all of football. But that's what they did. Did you look at that and say Deontay Johnson is the reason that Mitch Trubisky got benched? Because when I first thought of it, I thought, oh, maybe Matt Canada and Mitch got into it. Mike and Mitch got into it. It had to be a coach. It definitely wasn't thinking the guy that just dropped an interception who has had drop problems all season yelling at Mitch. That wasn't my thought.
Right. That's really weird. It's like one receiver alone, whether it's the star receiver or not. Like I just didn't think Deontay carried that much kind of power, I guess, in the locker room or in the decision making. And like you said, Mitch was throwing him the ball. Like it wasn't even just that dropped interception. Like Deontay was the most targeted guy on the team through. Probably still is the most targeted guy but he's getting 7-8 targets a game. Like this is not a targets thing. It was whatever Mitch's issues were, he was looking for Deontay. I just didn't know Deontay held that much power in the locker room. That was
me neither. I don't think a wide receiver should hold that much power in a locker room. I think the quarterback should be if it was the other way around and Mitch was yelling at somebody for something, maybe Najee Harris. If Najee Harris, who's a team captain, was yelling at Mitch in the locker room, telling him, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you stink, blah, blah, blah. Maybe at that point you just say, okay, we're going to lose the offense. But like Deontay Johnson, just like you said, what grounds does Deontay Johnson hold, especially when he's dropping footballs? If this was last season, I could see, okay, maybe, this is your star wide receiver who's clearly upset with your quarterback. But this year, it's just like, this guy's inconsistent. Fans aren't really pleased with him. A lot of people wish that he got traded before he got signed. Like, it's not like this is a fan favorite out here in Pittsburgh, and he's like the guy that everybody should listen to at all times. That's just weird, in my opinion. I think that it was Mike Tomlin ready to do it. I think Mike Tomlin was ready to do it heading into the Jets game. He didn't do it because he wasn't ready to give up on Mitch yet. I don't think that he was fully confident in Kenny at that point. And then this happened and he just said, okay, this is an excuse. You know what I mean? It's like breaking up with a girlfriend and you're just like, the whole time you're like, I kind of hope, like, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like you're in a bad relationship and towards the end, you're like, I kind of hope that maybe she just like makes out with a dude at a party,
Right.
So that,
just, you have something to fight over and cut it off cleanly. Like it,
and then it's not your fault. And then it's it's their fault or whatever. Exactly. You just want to look like the good guy. I think that was Mike Tomlin. And
just looking for an opportunity
in the situation.
Yeah. I would believe that definitely. Like he's looking for, it's a move he wanted to make from the jump, and for whatever reason he couldn't, and he was just looking for the opportunity to make that move as soon as possible. And this was convenient.
And it's a weird situation, but it's 3 weeks ago. It is what it is. My question is like, Deontay, what did Deontay finish with last week? He definitely wasn't. I mean, Chase led the team in receptions. Deontay
and yards, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 5 receptions for 28 yards. So how many bad games does Deontay have to have before he's yelling at Kenny Pickett to throw him the football? It just, I don't know. It's a weird situation. And on the other end of that, like Chase Claypool loves Mitch Trubisky, loves him. And I don't know. I think it's a weird dynamic in the locker room right now. I think it's, then you have the whole like Ron Cook talking about how he displayed poor captainship or whatever. I don't believe any of that. I have not heard any of that. I've heard that he's remaining the captain. The Steelers aren't going to remove him as captain. I think that's a little bit overblown. I don't trust a radio guy as far as I could throw him. So, that is what it is. All right, let's talk about Brian Flores' return to Miami and Chase Claypool's trade speculation. But first, we got a word from our boys at Manscaped. Welcome to Fresh Ball Fall. It's the season of pumpkin spice and making sure your crotch looks nice. That means sipping cider in a fall breeze and using Manscaped products to trim your balls with ease. That's right. Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped, a company here to make sure that your foliage isn't the only thing shedding its excess leaves. Heck, even Mother Nature knows it's time to lose the excess clutter to fall. Join the 6 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with our code STEELERS20. Whether you're brand new or already with us at Manscaped, you could use the crown jewel of their family care for your family jewels, the Platinum Package 4.0. With this glorious package, you can align your entire hygiene routine all in one swoop. Inside this 10-part Platinum package is everything you know and love about the Performance Package, plus some shower goodies included to elevate your grooming game to platinum. The Lawnmower 4.0 body trimmer and Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer feature proprietary advanced skin-safe technology to protect your delicate parts and holes. Both are waterproof, so you can keep scaping even as the weather's changing. In addition to shaving, you can now completely upgrade your shower routine with the Ultra Premium Body Wash and Ultra Premium 2-in-1 Shampoo and Conditioner. You'll have your skin and hair feeling hydrated and smelling fresh. Don't forget to apply their aluminum-free ultra premium deodorant, and don't worry, it's not pumpkin spice, it's a cologne quality fragrance. But we shouldn't have a signature scent just for our pits. Use the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner Spray to make sure that your go-to smell is top shelf and not sweaty balls. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to their Platinum Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag, both specially made to hold your goodies. Get the Platinum Packages this fall. These products are guaranteed to be hits for your dangly bits. Go to manscaped.com and get 20% off plus free shipping with our code STEELERS20. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com when you use our code STEELERS20. Manscaped, clear out the leaves. It's your tree trunks. Time to shine. All right, Brian Flores is returned to Miami for the first time since being fired. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Not totally sure how that timeline goes on. He's under a lawsuit with all 32 NFL teams, which started with the Miami Dolphins. It's come out that, the tank for Tua thing was real. Everything since then has just been real shady in Miami. It doesn't look good for the Dolphins, but they're winning football games. All of that aside, Mike Tomlin came out and said that really the impact of Brian Flores can't be that significant because it comes down to the players and not the coaches. Do you believe that, or do you think that's a bunch of BS because this dude ran that football team for 5 years?
I think you can talk about tendencies and stuff like that, what individual players like to do, but those players are all under an entire, like you said, he ran the show down there, but a completely new guy is running the show down there. Like, this is not the same Dolphins team that Brian Flores coached, quite honestly. So I think he can give. So I do kind of take Tomlin at his word when he says that, it is a little bit overblown. It's not like Brian Flores still has his, play call list from when he was in Miami. It's going to be exactly the same, and he'll be able to pick out what signals and whatever the Dolphins are running with. But he will know, okay, Tua likes to do this on third down. He tends to, this was something that we thought we had to work on with him. Jalen Waddle likes this or whatever. It's stuff like that. I think that'll be more up his alley and where he'll be able to contribute more, I think.
Do you think that this is like as big of a revenge game as the headlines are going to read when it comes to Flores in Miami? Like, do you expect him to be like, I'm sending the house, Tua's getting a beating in this game, no doubt about it?
Yeah, I mean,
through them.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. Like, I think I would be if I was Brian Flores. Like, I would take this game very much more seriously. I don't think that's like, and I don't think that's wrong. I think he has every right to. But again, it's the kind of ownership that he's mad with. He's not mad at the players or anything like that. So to a certain extent, you could only hurt the owners so much by just beating him real bad.
Didn't he not like Tua though? Wasn't there the stories of like him and Tua didn't get along, and he wouldn't say that Tua was like the franchise quarterback. He didn't want to draft Tua, the whole
What?
nine. And like I still think Tua was a big question mark in the NFL,
Mhm.
but
He's
I feel like I remember those. So, and I'm not saying that like he has a grudge against Tua, because I doubt that
Mhm.
he does. These are grown men. Nobody's like, man, I didn't want to draft you, but I hate you.
Mhm.
But I still think that this could be an opportunity for him to show leadership over there. Like, told you guys, told you shouldn't have drafted Tua. Told you I was
Mhm.
right the whole time. And Robert Spillane's 2 interceptions in a game. That's a reason why, which
Mhm.
could happen. The way that they're using him these days could happen.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I never saw those reports about him and Tua, but, um, I don't I think there will be added motivation, I'll put it that way,
Yeah.
um, whether it's to beat up on Tua because he didn't like him or just to win the game. I think Brian Flores really wants to win this game, and they can talk that down all they want, but, like, there's absolutely no way he's not a little bit more fired up for this one than pretty much any other game on their schedule, right?
Oh yeah, he's had this circled all season long. Sunday Night Football in Miami. Like there's no better. He'll be on the sideline, no doubt. He'll be firing guys up. There'll be more shots of Brian Flores than there are
Right.
Mike Tomlin, Kenny Pickett, anybody else. Anybody else in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform or shirt or whatever. The camera will be on Brian Flores 95% of the night. Easy.
Yeah.
So I agree. I think that there's definitely added motivation. I think that Tomlin is lying through his teeth, saying that Brian Flores doesn't have a big hand in what's going to happen this week and how they
Mhm.
prepare for Tua and so on and so forth. I think he is going to be right there saying, okay, I know that he likes to do this. I know that he likes to do that. I bet you he's been watching game film since the second he left, saying, okay, I know exactly how to play these
Mhm.
guys, exactly how to play these guys.
Yeah.
And he's a defensive minded coach. So it's not like he isn't, he's not going to be taking whiffs. Like he knows how to study a team, and now he's studying a team that he was part of and saw the offense. So I think it's a bit of an upper hand.
Right. And it's not like Tomlin's gonna come out and say, "Yeah, Brian has every call from the Dolphins, and we know exactly what they
Oh
are
yeah.
going to do on every we know how to read them exactly how we want to." Like, he's not going to announce that to the world.
No, his whole it's overblown in the coaching community. Nonsense. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You know that Brian Flores is sitting in there on defensive meetings saying exactly what Tua likes to do. And obviously everybody has to take it with a grain of salt. And I'm sure Flores is explaining it with a grain of salt, just like, hey, this is what I remember him doing. This is what he's doing now. But I'm sure a lot of those things still line up. And when that happens, I'm sure like he knows how to prepare for this game better than anybody in Pittsburgh right now. And it is nonsense. Just like you said, Tomlin would never come out and say in a smart strategy, oh yeah, Brian knows everything and the defense is going to be unstoppable, blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
He handled it the way he should have handled it. But anybody who believed him, you're wrong. You fell for the
Mhm.
trap, and Miami's not falling for the trap. That's one thing for certain. They understand that this game is a Brian Flores revenge game, and they need to win this game, especially with Tua coming back. All right, last thing I want to talk about here. Chase Claypool. We are 1 week away from the trade deadline. Things are heating up. ESPN has mentioned a billion trades. I saw Pro Football Network say that Christian McCaffrey could come to the Steelers, which is the most nonsense thing in the whole world.
I
Chase
read that too.
Claypool.
That was a funny basically the trade they suggested was just, like, Najee and some draft picks straight up. I was like, "Alright, okay."
Yeah, like what do you do? It's like, oh, okay, here Najee Harris, who people have a problem with, and like, yeah, there's question marks around Najee this season. Let's just go trade for Christian McCaffrey, who I can't remember the last time was healthy for an entire season. And yeah, he might be phenomenal, but you can't be phenomenal if you're on a football field. Plus, let's give up
Mhm.
some draft picks so that we could get a running back to build around when we already have a running back that we could build around that's a lot cheaper than Christian McCaffrey. It was the
Mhm.
dumbest trade possibility out there that I've seen in a while. That being said, the good one seems to be Chase Claypool. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler says that the Packers are looking for a possible trade target when it comes to a wide receiver. He named Chase Claypool. I'll tell you this. I talked to somebody about the situation. And what I got is that the Packers are looking for a wide receiver, which I think is pretty well known. And their type of wide receiver seems to fit the mold of Chase Claypool. That doesn't mean that it is Chase Claypool, and a lot of bigger receivers in the NFL these days. So you have no idea, if their only target is Chase Claypool or if he's one of many on their list. Do you think Chase Claypool, there's a real shot that he gets traded within the next 2 weeks?
Yes, I do. I think just because you can kind of sell high, he's coming off of a really good game. You kind of have to expect that he will kind of be able to keep that up. The Packers seem like a good spot. They need I don't know if, like, honestly, if you're trying to make Chase Claypool a number one receiver or whatever, you might be having a bad time. But Chase Claypool is certainly talented enough to make the most of a relationship with Aaron Rodgers. So that makes a lot of sense. I don't think he'd be that expensive for the Packers to get. But yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I don't kind of know where else Chase would go, who else would be kind of looking for him. So really, it seems like it'd be Packers or nothing.
Yeah, I look at it as Packers or nothing. I don't know anybody else who would make calls for Chase. But you said that you could probably get him inexpensive. What's inexpensive? What do you expect the Steelers to get for Chase if they traded him by the deadline?
Well, so he was a second-round pick. I don't think you're going to get that level of compensation for him. I think you're going to have to look for like a third and maybe some like a third or lower. And if you go any lower than a third, probably some filler, like some young, I don't know, some young something like.
Are you taking a third-round pick? I feel like a third-round pick's the lowest I'm going for Chase Claypool, because at that point you might as well just let him rock for. You got him for a whole other season after this. At bare minimum, he's a 6'4", 240-pound guy that you could just line up there and hope that he has a big game.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I mean, if you're the Packers, are you going to pay more than that?
I don't think so. I think you're dead on with the third. But if you're the Steelers, are you giving up more than a third? Like, if they're like, hey, we'll give you a 4th-round pick, are you taking a 4th-round pick for Chase Claypool?
No, probably not.
No, I don't think I am either. I think maybe a third and something. Like, if you were like, here's a third and a 6th, I'd say, okay, we could start talking. If it's anything lower than a third, there's just no point. Like, at that point, you're just like, well, we can make something out of this guy. At bare minimum, if he gives us 7 catches for 96-yard games a season, that's better than a 4th-round pick, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. And on top of that, you got Calvin Austin. Like, you have room to spare next season to where you could wait if you don't feel comfortable moving him this season. Now, what does he have to do? Like, say he has like a decent season for the rest of the year, finishes like just about 1,000 yards, probably a little bit under, but say he finishes with 900 yards and like 5 touchdowns. Heading into the final year of his deal next year, do you think that you could actually get good compensation for this guy in the offseason? Or is that at that point, you're just like, we've waited too long?
Oh no, I think you absolutely could. If he climbs up to 1,000 yards by the end of the year, you'll have a ton of people looking for him. Well, I guess it kind of depends on what money he's looking for after that contract.
Definitely big money. Definitely big money. But like, what do you have to, like, you can't, like, there's no way he's getting more than Deontay. Like Deontay's 13.5. There's no way he's getting 13.5. I would say 11, like $11,000 over 2 years.
Yeah.
$22,000 or $22 million deal. I feel like a team would give him that, like, or like let him play out his final year and see, because at that point he's going to bet on himself and say, okay, let's see if I could have a big year with a different quarterback. And if I do, then my market's going to skyrocket. Whereas if it's in Pittsburgh, there's no chance he's getting another deal here. And they're just going to let a guy who's got all of those physical attributes walk. I just feel like that doesn't make any sense, because you don't want to do that. Like, you don't want to invest a 2nd-round pick in a guy who the rest of the NFL probably still believes in. Like, there's no way he's just going to go unsigned or sign a nonsense Juju Smith-Schuster 1-year deal somewhere. Like, he's going to get actual money somewhere. And you're just going to let that walk? I think that at some point you got to pull the trigger and say, all right, we'll give up whatever we could get for this guy because it's better than just letting him go. But I think that's got to be like a third round pick ish. Maybe higher.
You definitely can't let him walk for nothing.
No, I think that personally, I think that you could in the offseason probably get a second round pick for Chase Claypool. I think closer to the draft, depending on how the wide receiver class looks, especially if you wait till draft night and guys start coming off the board. Like Marquise Brown is my perfect example. He should not have gone for a first round pick. The dude did nothing in Baltimore whatsoever. And he was a great college wide receiver, no doubt, but so was Chase Claypool. And then he went to Baltimore, didn't fit into the scheme, did nothing. A little bit of a different story because I think Chase fits into the scheme. He just doesn't play it well. But I think this is the first year that he's fit into the scheme because I don't think he was an outside guy. And he's gone through 3 quarterbacks in a matter of 7 weeks. So it's tough to say like, oh, all the elements are adding up for Chase Claypool. Like, I think there's enough excuses there for Omar Khan to convince somebody, hey, this guy's got a lot of upside. Maybe you toss us a second round pick and, we'll send him your way for like Chase in like a 5th,
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Chase Claypool, you could go get another Chase Claypool in the second round. You could get a George Pickens in the second round, which is way better than Chase Claypool.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you wait till draft night, that's where you go. Plus, like, you don't want to give up on the season this year.
Yeah.
And you're not ready to do that.
Yeah. And I don't think Chase is going to tank his value at all for the rest of the season. I'm kind of counting on him playing maybe not at the level that he did against the Bucks, but like similar, like around that level. Like, he's not going to play so poorly that he, seems unplayable or like that no one wants him or that his trade value really tanks that hard.
Exactly. The last 2 weeks, Chase has gone 5 receptions for 50 yards and 7 receptions for 96 yards. So, like, he's on the upswing. He's definitely heading in the right direction. If you could get 75 yards a game, finish with 5 or 6 touchdowns on the year, somebody's calling. Like, this dude's way too big, way too fast, way too physical for you to say, no, we're just gonna ignore this guy, especially if the Steelers make it known to teams like, hey, Chase is a little bit on the trading block. I think come the offseason, his value's through the roof. But I don't expect anything to happen by week 8. I just look at it like, unless Green Bay calls and they're like, we'll give you a first round pick or a second round pick, I just think that at that point, you're not willing to send Calvin Austin out there and be like, hey, you are our slot guy. You haven't played a game yet. You haven't practiced in almost 2 months. Go ahead. Go fill the role of Chase Claypool. Have fun with that one. Yeah, like, that's just not going to work out in anybody's favor. It's going to put unrealistic expectations on Calvin Austin. It's not a good move for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think that they sit on it unless something crazy happens and they just let it rock. That's how I view the situation. All right, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Find us anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, go use our promo code at manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping. I'll be back tomorrow with the live stream. Me and Derek will be back Friday for the Friday podcast. Enjoy your week. Peace.